the day of the drawing. I immediately grabbed my childhood sweetheart as my wife. Parents from both families laughed heartily. They teased that I would definitely be a womanizer in the future, later in Beijing's famous circles, but instead became a dictator. At 5 years old, she absolutely refused to take photos alone, using her small chubby hand to tug at my clothes, insisting we take photos together. At 15, the girl stopped me on the way to school. Just entering adolescence, she spoke, "Xishuan, you belong to me. You can't escape." At 22, when we reached marriageable age, the woman proposed to me on Shanghai's highest billboard. In the shower of rose petals scattered from a helicopter, the diamond ring in my hand gleamed coldly. Xu put it on my finger herself, her eyes filled with love. "Xishuan, for the rest of our lives, I will always be yours." But at 25, she was unexpectedly drugged by a rival and had a spring night with a college boy. I angrily proposed divorce. On the day I proposed divorce, Xuzei sent the college student abroad overnight, then stood in the rain beneath my apartment for 3 days and nights. "Sichuan, I was wrong. Please forgive me." This time, when I saw her face, my heart softened, but afterwards, I was at the hospital. I saw that college boy accompanying her for an obstetric examination. Xuzei, with red eyes, explained that half a month ago, I went abroad for a business negotiation. There was a car accident. He risked his life in the exploding car to save me. Then I found out I was pregnant. Your grandmother threatened suicide, wanted me to keep this baby. The woman embraced me, her voice trembling. "I swear, after I give birth to this child, I will send him away. Give the child to his family. They will never appear before you again in this life. Don't leave me, please." I endured the heartache and believed her explanation again. Until the final time, the woman at the auction fought for my mother's relic. In the end, she even directly burned the sky lantern. She still had to give the necklace to that college student. I burst into the private room to confront her, but Suji just tiredly rubbed her brow. "He's not in a good mood lately. We need to make him feel better." At that moment, I laughed until tears fell. "What if I don't allow it?" The woman frowned. "Sichuan, don't make a scene. I am about to give birth. When the baby is born, everything will return to how it was before." I just calmly looked at her. How was it before? Was it when you only had eyes for me? Or when you would drive 3 hours in a heavy rainstorm just to buy me a strawberry cake? Do you really remember? At this moment, a startled cry came from Jiang Shibai behind me. The man, pale-faced, leaned against the wall. "I've twisted my ankle. It hurts so much." Zhu Ji's expression changed dramatically. She immediately pushed me aside, rushed over to help him up. I staggered backward, my waist heavily hitting the corner of the table. Pain so intense that cold sweat immediately soaked my back. "Xu. I called her name with a trembling voice, but the woman didn't even turn her head. She embraced Jiang Shibai and strode away, leaving me only with a hurried back view. I stood there. The more I laughed, the more tears flowed. A life-saving debt, plus a child belonging to them. Xu. You'll never escape him in this life. I staggered to my feet, slowly wiped away the blood from my forehead corner, got into the car. The driver cautiously asked, "Sir, are we going to the villa?" I closed my eyes. "No, we're going to the lawyer's office." 2 hours later, I took the divorce agreement to the hospital. Outside the VIP ward on the highest floor, the bodyguards saw me. With embarrassed expressions, they lowered their heads. I stood at the end of the hallway, watching Zhuji reserve the entire floor for Jiang Shibai. She never left his bedside. Just at his slightest frown, she would tense up as if the sky were falling. Jiang Shibai whined, "I want tiramisu from the bakery on the west side of town." Suji immediately grabbed her car keys and went out. "I'll be back soon." I stood in the shadows, my heart aching as if being sliced open, waiting for her to leave. Only then did I push open the ward door. Shibai saw me. The rims of his eyes immediately reddened. "Mr. G, have you come to accuse me?" "I am sorry. I really didn't mean to." I had no patience to appreciate his exquisite acting. "It's just the two of us here. Stop pretending. 5 years ago, Shuji gave you 50 million to leave, but you still appeared before her. What do you want?" "I know clearly." Jiang Shibei's tears immediately froze on his face, and I directly presented a divorce agreement. "If I give this divorce agreement to her, she won't sign it. Find a way to make her sign it without her knowing." Jiang Shibai bit his lip. "You misunderstand. I never thought about destroying your marriage." I waved my hand to cut him off. "There's only one chance. Think clearly." Jiang Shibai stared at that agreement for a long time, finally reached out to take it. "Thank you, Mr. G, for blessing our family of 3. My heart immediately felt like it was viciously stabbed with a blunt knife. Pain so severe that even my breathing trembled. "Then I wish you 3 eternal happiness." Returning to the villa, I brought out a cardboard box, started packing away everything related to Zhu Ziyi. Xu and I grew up together. So many memories they couldn't even be counted. The first item I put in the box was a photo album. Opening the first page, it was a photo of us together when we were 5 years old. In the photo, she wore a little suit, standing stiffly beside me, yet secretly tugging at the corner of my clothes. Aunt Yu said, that day she absolutely refused to take photos alone. She insisted on being with me. That was the first time she showed possessiveness toward me. The second item was a high school uniform button. On graduation day, all the boys in class were snatching buttons from the girls. I sat in my seat without moving. The result was, after school, I discovered a button from her uniform lying quietly on my desk, along with a note, only willing to give mine to you. At that time, she had learned to use her identity as Miss Xu to prevent other girls from approaching me. The third item was a diamond ring. My legal marriage age had just arrived that day. She couldn't wait to propose to me on the big screen of the CBD building, in the shower of rose petals scattered from a helicopter. This diamond ring gleamed coldly in her hand. She put it on my finger herself. Sichuan, for the rest of our lives, I will always be yours. Thinking of this, I let out a self-mocking laugh, put all these things into the cardboard box, then threw them all in the trash. The next morning, I was awakened by noises downstairs. Servants were bag by bag, moving luxury goods into the living room. Jiang Shibai stood in the hall shaking his head. Madam Xu, this is too extravagant. I never thought of wanting these things. Su Ji looked at him gently. Listen and accept what I bought for you. Being in a good mood is better, so you can take care of me. Before she finished speaking, she saw me. Her expression froze. She immediately spoke. Sichuan, sorry. This time I only bought gifts for Sibai. What do you want? I'll buy it for you next time. I hadn't said anything yet. Jiang Shibai immediately spoke in a soft voice. Madam Xu, I've prepared for the gentleman the gift he wants most. After speaking, he walked toward me. I handed me a document bag. I opened it and discovered inside was a signed divorce agreement. My heart felt as if gripped violently by an invisible hand. Jiang Shibai had actually done it. Very well. Next, they could be a happy family of 3, and I, Ji Sichuan, from today onwards, would live only for myself. Su Ji suddenly came closer, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Sichuan, what gift do you want most? How could I not know? She spoke and reached out to take it. I immediately pulled the folder back. She raised her eyebrows, somewhat puzzled. You're keeping secrets from me now. I scornfully pulled at my lips. Didn't you also hide your 3-month pregnancy from me? The woman's expression changed dramatically. She unconsciously glanced at Jiang Shibai. Didn't we agree not to mention this anymore? I've explained to you why I kept this child. She paused. Her tone suddenly softened. The reason I hid it from you was because I feared you would leave me, but I no longer want to be bound by this ill-fated relationship. Xuzi, what you fear most is what you lose most easily. Jiang Shibai beside her suddenly reddened around his eyes. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have used myself as an antidote for Madame Xu that night. Even more, I shouldn't have been discovered by grandmother Xu. I never thought of destroying your marriage. I really didn't mean to. He spoke with tears about to fall but not falling, as if suffering an enormous grievance. Xu. Ji immediately turned to console him. What nonsense. How could this be your fault? I couldn't bear to watch anymore. I turned to leave. Only then did the woman react, hurriedly chasing after me asking, Sichuan, where are you going? Out to do some work. She frowned looking out the window. It was pouring rain outside. I'll drive you. After speaking, she turned back to instruct the servants. Sibai cannot touch cold water. Raise the room temperature by 2 degrees. His appetite hasn't been good lately. When making soup, don't forget the Angelica. A full 10 minutes. She gave instructions for everything big and small, fearing the servants wouldn't care for him properly. I stood in the foyer, quietly watching her. Finally, she finished her instructions. Sitting in the car, I looked at her and suddenly smiled. Xuzie. You will definitely be a good mother in the future. The woman was stunned, as if she hadn't expected me to say this. She grabbed my wrist. Her tone carried a hint of hidden pain. Sichuan, only if you and I have a child together will I accept being a mother, clearly knowing I am not in control of myself. Please don't talk like that. Her hand was still as warm as before, but I could no longer feel its warmth. I didn't speak, just silently looked out the window. The car slowly set off. To ease the atmosphere, Su Ji changed the subject. Such heavy rain. What work do you need to do? Just as I was about to answer, the woman's phone rang. Jiang Shibei's voice, mixed with crying, came through from the speakerphone. Madam Xu, I suddenly have severe stomach pain. Xuzi's face changed immediately. Don't be afraid. I am coming back right away. Hanging up the phone, she immediately looked at me. Sichuan, this place isn't far from Lingxiang Road anymore. Can you take a taxi by yourself? I calmly replied, a sound of pushing the door and getting out of the car. The heavy rain immediately soaked me completely. I stood by the roadside watching the back of her car, suddenly laughed. It was just a little more, and you would have known what I was going to do. The wind and rain were too strong, basically impossible to catch a taxi. I walked alone in the heavy rain, the umbrella broken by the strong wind. Rain mixed with tears blurred my vision. By the time I finally reached the Civil Affairs Bureau, my whole body was in a miserable state. Hello. I am here for divorce procedures. I handed over the well-protected divorce agreement. The papers weren't wet at all. The staff member looked at me, then looked at the agreement. Wait for a month's cooling-off period. Then you can come collect the divorce certificate. When leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, the rain had stopped. I looked up at the suddenly sunny sky. The pain in my chest dissipated somewhat. It seemed the days after divorce would be like today. Sunny every day. When returning to the villa, the hall was empty. From upstairs came the voices of Yu Ji and Jiang Shibai. Jiang Shibai was telling her about prenatal education. My head was light and dizzy. I went straight to bed and slept. I don't know how long I slept. My throat was dry as if burning. I called out several times, but only heard storytelling from the next room. Jiang Shibei's voice was sickeningly sweet. Madam Xu, I really hope the child will be handsome and smart in the future. Xu Ziyi chuckled softly. Don't underestimate yourself. Being like you would also be very good. You're kind and gentle, even without seeing. I could imagine Jiang Shibei's face flushing red at this moment. They were like a real married couple, weaving beautiful dreams for their soon-to-be-born child. I struggled to get up to reach for a glass of water, but because my body was weak, I knocked it over. The glass shattered completely. I squatted down to pick it up, but because my vision suddenly darkened, I fell directly to the floor. My palm was pierced by fragments, bleeding profusely. I gritted my teeth and cleaned up bit by bit, then found fever medication and swallowed it. Throughout the entire process, the laughter from next door never stopped. Lying back in bed again, I suddenly remembered when I had a fever in college. Xu Ziyi climbed over the wall into the boys' dormitory at night, stayed by my bed for 3 days and 3 nights. At that time, with red eyes, she said, Sichuan, when you feel unwell, I hurt even more than you. What about now? Xugie? Do you still remember these words? Tears silently slipped into the pillow. I closed my eyes, letting darkness swallow me whole. The next day when I opened my eyes, I saw Zhu Yi lying beside me. She reached out to feel my forehead, her eyes full of worry. How could you not call me when you had a fever? Do you know how worried I was when I saw you unconscious? I pushed her hand away. With a hoarse voice, I am fine already. Xu Yi frowned. Are you unhappy? No. She bent down to kiss the top of my head. Happy or not, I can tell. Didn't you always want to go horseback riding at the racecourse? Can I take you there? She spoke and wanted to help me get out of bed to wash up. Her gentle movements just like before. I didn't want to act abnormally, so I let her take charge. Just as we finished changing clothes and were about to leave, Jiang Shibai appeared at the door. Madam Xu, Mr. Ji, are you going horseback riding? I am so envious. I've never ridden a horse before. Can I come along? He looked at Xu Ziyi with expectant eyes. Su Ji's eyebrows furrowed tightly. Your health isn't good. Jiang Shibai bit his lower lip, but I want to go. Being bored at home every day isn't good for my health either. His voice grew increasingly soft, carrying an almost imperceptible whining tone. Not wanting to hear more, I turned and headed for the door. I understood Zhu Ziyi too well. She had never been able to refuse this kind of pitiful pleading. Sure enough, when I reached outside, I heard Zhu Ziyi's compromising sigh from behind. After getting into the car, I discovered that Jiang Shibai had really come along. Su Ji personally helped him into the car, one hand constantly protecting behind him, like holding something fragile. After getting out of the car, her care was shown in every little detail. Completely forgetting whom she had originally come here to accompany, every caring instruction from the woman was like a blunt knife, slowly cutting at my heart. I silently walked to the stable, chose a gentle mare, skillfully placed the saddle on it. These skills were personally taught by Xu Ji. The year of my 20th birthday, she took me to a private horse ranch for a day, and the woman who once taught me to ride horses now had her eyes only on another man, fearing he might have even a little discomfort. Throughout the journey, she held the reins of Jiang Sibei's horse, never letting go for a moment, until her phone rang in her chest pocket. She took it out and looked, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Jiang Shibai immediately said considerately, Madam Xu, please go attend to your business. I've learned already. I can manage on my own. Xu Ziyi was uneasy. She repeatedly confirmed that he was seated firmly. Only then did she turn to take the call in private. I reined in my horse and stopped at the edge of the field, quietly watching this scene. The sunlight stretched Xu Ziyi's shadow very long. When she was on the phone, she habitually tapped the back of the phone with her index finger. This was the small gesture I was most familiar with. Suddenly, Jiang Shibai rode his horse closer. With a sweet smile on his face, Mr. Ji, what do you think would happen if two horses collide? I've never seen it before. Without waiting for an answer, he suddenly squeezed the horse's belly. The two horses immediately collided. The mare was startled and reared up on its front legs. I desperately gripped the reins, but still couldn't control it. My horse went completely wild, roaring and rushing toward the fence. In my peripheral vision, I saw Jiang Shibai accidentally let go. His entire body fell from the horseback. Xu Ziyi almost flew over, catching him before Jiang Shibai touched the ground. At the same moment, a large group of startled horses broke through the fence, galloping toward me. Xu Ziyi, save me, I shouted amid the jolts, my voice drowned in the chaotic sound of hooves. I saw her help Jiang Shibai to his feet. Without turning her head, she ran toward the outer field. The dust kicked up by hooves stung my eyes. I felt the reins slip from my palm when my entire body was thrown into the air. I suddenly remembered when I was 20. Shuji told me at the same ranch, Sichuan, as long as you call me, I will definitely turn back. I fell heavily to the ground, my vision blurry. The last thing I saw was Zhuji's back as she helped Jiang Shibai into the car. I curled up on the sandy ground, hearing the hoofbeats getting closer and closer. I woke up in a burst of sharp pain, opening my eyes to find myself in the hospital. Slightly turning my head, I saw Xu Ziyi sitting beside the bed. Sichuan, you're awake. She immediately came closer, speaking softly, her voice carrying relief. Is there any discomfort? I opened my mouth. My throat was too dry to make a sound. I remembered the last image I saw was Zhu Ji's back as she hurriedly left with Jiang Shibai, and the horse hooves rushing toward me. Xu Ji suddenly spoke. Sibai was accidentally injured. He has a blood coagulation disorder. Now his bleeding won't stop. The hospital's blood bank is insufficient. Hearing this, my heart sank bit by bit. Sure enough, Xu Jiyi took my hand. You're the only matching blood type, Sichuan. Will you donate some blood for him? I suddenly pulled my hand back, tugging at my rib wound. The pain made me inhale sharply, despite me being trampled by horses, without a single word of explanation. The first thing she said was to have me, covered in injuries, go save Jiang Shibai. I won't go, my voice was hoarse. Each word was like a knife cutting. Xu Jiyi's eyebrows furrowed tightly. For the sake of the baby in my womb, can you just endure a little? Wait until the child is born. My whole body turned cold. I stared into Xu Jiyi's eyes, wanting to find a trace of guilt or heartache. But those eyes I had loved for 20 years only held worry and urgency. The nurse at the door softly reminded, Madam Xu, Mr. Jiang's situation isn't good. Xu Ziyi immediately stood up, almost forcefully helping me up. Sichuan, please, I am begging you. I was dragged into the blood collection room. The moment the needle pierced my vein, I was in so much pain I couldn't breathe. The nurse asked, puzzled, Is it very painful? That's impossible. I was already very gentle. I shook my head, tears falling uncontrollably. All these years, I feared injections the most. Previously, every time I had blood drawn, Xu Ziyi would cover my lace. Eyes softly coaxing me, Sichuan, be good. It'll be over soon. Now, with the same blood drawing, she stood outside the room continuously checking her watch, not sparing even a glance for me. Several cubic centimeters of blood had been drawn. My vision kept going black. The nurse helped me sit down to rest. Then I saw Xu Jiyi, without even turning her head, running toward Jiang Sibei's ward. I staggered after her, standing outside the half-closed door. On the hospital bed, Jiang Shibai was pale-faced, his wrist wrapped in thick gauze. Xu Ji sat beside the bed, holding his hand tightly. Her gentle gaze could melt into water. I don't be afraid. It's all right now. My eyes fell on Jiang Shibei's wrist. There he wore a familiar string of prayer beads. Those were what I had sought for Xu Ji at Mount Wutai 3 years ago. Back then, she solemnly wore them on her wrist, said she would never take them off in this lifetime. But now, they appeared on another man's wrist. My heart ached violently. I suddenly turned and left, returning to my ward. I curled up on the bed, letting tears soak the pillow. So a heart broken to the extreme really could hurt so much, it's hard to breathe. Early the next morning, a nurse came to check the room. Mr. G, please complete this medical report. The nurse brought a form. I mechanically filled it in. At the marital status column, I paused, then heavily wrote single. The nurse asked in surprise, Mr. G, is this filled in wrongly? Isn't Madam Xu your wife? I calmly said, she will soon no longer be my wife. The hospital room door was suddenly pushed open forcefully. Xu Ji stood at the door, looking at me in disbelief. The air in the ward instantly solidified. The nurse embarrassedly hugged the medical records and quickly slipped away, only leaving me and Xu Ji standing at the door, our eyes meeting. Xu Ziyi seemed to understand. Are you still angry about the blood donation? She came closer, reaching out to touch my face. Human life comes first. Sichuan, I had no choice. I turned my head away. Her fingers hung in midair, stiffening before finally withdrawing. Her tone softened. After this busy period is over, I'll go rest in the snow mountains with you. All right? I tiredly closed my eyes, not answering. She waited for a while. Seeing I didn't say anything, she asked again, when can you be discharged? I vaguely realized something was wrong. I opened my eyes to look at her. What is it? She hesitated for a moment, then said, Sibai wants to drink sweet potato and rib soup. You make it the best. I don't trust anyone else to do it. I froze there. For a moment, all emotions surged. I wanted to question what exactly she considered me to be. Her husband or Jiang Sibei's personal chef. But in the end, I just gently said, I understand. After I am discharged, I'll package it carefully and have it delivered. Her eyes lit up. She bent down to kiss my forehead. Sichuan, you're the most understanding. I numbly accepted this kiss. Yes, I am the most understanding. So understanding that I was injured by her lover's actions, yet still had to get up and cook soup for him. I just hope your baby can be born safely, I said softly. Xu finally noticed something strange. She frowned looking at me. Weren't you very against this child before? I pulled at my lips. Not anymore, because I also hope you three as a family won't be missing anyone. The woman stared at me for a long time, as if wanting to see something on my face. But in the end, she just looked at her watch. Standing up, Sibai should take his medicine now. I'll come visit you again later. The moment the door closed, I slowly lay back on the hospital bed, looking at the ceiling, suddenly laughed. After I left, it was exactly 5 days. I was discharged and went home. As promised, I made the soup, instructed the driver to deliver it to the hospital, then began packing my luggage. On the evening of the 6th day, Xu suddenly returned, but there was no sign of Jiang Sibai. I unconsciously asked, didn't Jiang Shibai come back with you? Xu gave me a deep look. He's still recovering in the hospital. I frowned. So many days and he still hasn't been discharged? She gently made an affirmative sound, then walked up to me. It's just as well. Sichuan, I promised to take you to rest in the snow mountains. I've arranged everything. I'll take you there now. without waiting for my response. Xuzie had already pulled my wrist to leave. Her force was very strong. I staggered a bit, vaguely feeling uneasy. Xuzie's expression was too strange. Her eyes seemed covered with a layer of ice. The journey in the car was frighteningly quiet. Xuzie gripped the steering wheel tightly, her fingers pale white. Looking out the window, the scenery quickly receded. My heartbeat became faster and faster. By the time we reached the Snow Mountain Resort, it was already evening. When about to continue up to the peak, Suji suddenly said, "Sichuan, I forgot to bring something. Go get it from the car. Wait here." I nodded, but the cold wind was howling. I wrapped my coat tightly, a wait that lasted 3 hours. The sky had completely darkened. I finally called Xuzie, "When are you coming back?" My voice trembled in the snow wind, but the other end of the phone was just silent. After a long silence, Shuji's voice was colder than snow. "I am not coming back. The car has been driven away. If you want to return, find your own way." "What do you mean?" "It's punishment for you." Her voice was colder than I'd ever heard. "I told you to endure until the baby is born, but you put drugs in Sabei's soup, nearly killing him. How could you become like this?" Hearing her tone cold with thorough disappointment, my blood instantly froze. "What drugs? What nearly killed?" "I didn't." Xuzie finally exploded. "You're still denying it. You made the soup yourself. If not you, then who could it be? Do you think Jiang Shibai would harm himself? He values me more than his own life." The snowstorm grew stronger. My eyelashes frosted with ice. "So you don't believe me?" She lowered her voice. "What do you want me to believe? Find your own way back, and reflect well on your actions." The moment the phone was hung up, I stood in the snow. My fingers holding the phone had turned purple from the cold. I suddenly remembered the day we got our marriage certificate. She pinned me against the wall at the civil affairs office and said, "Ji Shichuan, if you dare to run, I will lock you by my side for life." Now she had deliberately abandoned me on the snow mountain. The snowstorm grew increasingly violent. I wrapped my coat tightly, preparing to descend the mountain. Suddenly, I heard a low, muffled explosion in the distance. "It's an avalanche." I turned to run, but was overtaken by an overwhelming wave of snow. My entire body was buried in the snowdrift. My right leg sent pain shooting through my heart. Trembling, I took out my phone, frantically calling Shuzi on the 7th attempt. It finally connected. "Xuzee, there's been an avalanche." Jiang Shibei's sweet voice came through the receiver. "What are you saying? I can't hear you clearly." Through the sound of the snowstorm, I heard Zhu gently asking in the background, "Whose phone is that?" Jiang Shibai chuckled softly. "Wrong number, Madam Zhu. The porridge you made is really delicious. Since the last time someone drugged it, you've personally gone to the kitchen. I feel much more at ease." There was a thud on my back. I couldn't hold on any longer, slowly falling into the snow. In the final second before consciousness faded, I suddenly remembered our wedding day. She knelt on one knee before me saying, "Ji Shichuan, if I ever betray you in this life, let the snow fall on me," covering all unfinished vows. When I regained consciousness again, Xuzee was sitting beside my bed, her eyes frighteningly red. She held my hand, her voice trembling uncontrollably. "Shichuan, I really didn't know there would be an avalanche. I am sorry, truly sorry." Her fingers were ice cold, but her palm was covered in sweat, as if terrified I would disappear. "Hit me, scold me, do whatever you want." The hospital room door was suddenly pushed open. Jiang Shibai rushed in, his eyes swollen like peaches. "Mr. Ji, it's all my fault. Please don't blame Madam Xu," he cried profusely, as if suffering an enormous grievance. Madam Xu didn't know how anxious she was. When she heard about the avalanche, she went crazy with worry, rushing in to find you without regard for danger. Now she's covered in injuries. Xuzee interrupted him, turning to take him into her arms. "This has nothing to do with you. The doctor said already, you can't cry. It's not good for your health." I watched this scene and suddenly laughed. How ironic. I had just returned from the brink of death, yet she was worried about whether another man was crying. With a hoarse voice, "Get out, all of you get out." Xuzee was stunned. "Shichuan," I said, "get out." I grabbed the water glass by the bed and smashed it violently on the floor. Glass shards scattered everywhere. Xuzee finally took Jiang Shibai and retreated outside. As she closed the door, she kept turning her head to look at me. In the days that followed, Suji changed tactics to win me over, but I remained silent. I was no longer angry with her. I also no longer smiled at her. I looked at her eyes as if looking at a stranger. On the day of discharge, Suji came personally to pick me up, but I pulled my suitcase and walked straight toward a taxi. However, she suddenly took out a horsewhip from the trunk. "Shichuan, hit me. If hitting me can relieve your anger, I can make you forgive me. Hit me however you want." She paused, then softened her voice. "Today is a family dinner. I don't be angry with me, please." I looked at her, suddenly wanting to laugh. Did she still think they were like before? That she made a mistake? I got angry, and after some coaxing, I could forgive her? She was thoroughly wrong. I didn't take that whip. I turned and got into her car. I hadn't forgiven her. I just didn't care anymore. Along the way, Zhu Yi kept trying to find topics of conversation, but I just looked out the window without saying a word. The Xu family's old house was brightly lit. As soon as I entered the living room, I saw Jiang Shibai sitting on the sofa. Grandmother Xu was warmly holding his hand and talking. Xu Ji immediately grabbed my wrist. Grandmother insisted on meeting him. I was afraid you'd be angry, so I didn't dare tell you. I gently withdrew my hand. It's fine. I really don't care anymore. Grandmother Xu held Sibei's hand, smiling affectionately. When she turned to look at me, her face immediately turned cold. Married into the family. For so long, not even one child. Sibai is different. So adorable. My hand paused for a moment. Since when had it been? Grandmother Xu used to love me like her own grandson. When did the change begin? Perhaps from when I said I didn't want children. But not wanting children had never been just my decision alone. I remember that rainy night after the proposal. Because of my premarital anxiety, I hid at a friend's house, afraid to see Zhu Ji. She searched the entire city in the rain. Finally, at 3 a.m., she broke open the door of my friend's house. Completely soaked, she knelt before me. Sichuan, what have I done wrong? I cried until I could barely breathe. I am afraid. Afraid of marriage, and even more afraid of having children. What did Zhu Ji say then? She lifted my face and promised, then we won't have any. If the family pressures us, say I can't conceive. But now, the woman who had sworn so firmly she couldn't conceive was looking at Jiang Shibai, carefully showing him how to mix pregnancy milk powder. I couldn't bear it anymore. I turned and walked toward the backyard pool. The night wind was a bit cold. Just as I sat down by the pool, Jiang Shibai followed. Mr. Ji, Madam Shu said after the baby is born, shall buy me the South Garden Villa. Oh, and do you know why that cup of Madame X's medicine would make her lose control and want me? He came closer to my ear, because that night at the party, I wore a white shirt that you usually like to wear, the same style. She mistook me for you, so I should really thank you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have what I have today. I slowly turned my head, about to speak. Jiang Shibai suddenly fell headfirst into the pool. He thrashed in the water, with a miserable voice. Everyone heard and came running. Seeing this scene, while I stood by the pool with an expressionless face, the entire Xu family descended into chaos. As Zhu Ji jumped in to rescue him, Grandmother X's slap had already landed on my face. My face was slapped sideways. The corner of my mouth bled. I slowly turned back, suddenly laughed. Fine, I am sorry. After saying this, I grabbed Jiang Shibai, who had just been rescued, and pushed him back into the water again. Grandmother Xu screamed shrilly. I took off the Xu family's heirloom jade bracelet from my wrist, smashing it violently on the ground. The jade bracelet shattered into several pieces. Under the moonlight, it flashed a cold light. As I turned to leave, I heard Zhu Ji behind me, calling my name in disbelief. But this time, I didn't turn back. Not long after I returned home, the front door was forcefully pushed open. Xu Ji rushed in, bringing the wind and rain with her, obviously having hurried after me. She panted heavily, her eyes swirling with complex emotions, resembling anger, yet also like panic. I coldly looked at her. I am not wrong. If you insist, I apologize. Then let's divorce. The moment the word divorce left my mouth, her face instantly turned pale. I don't say that word. Xu Zee stepped forward quickly, pressing me into her arms. You clearly know that divorce would cost me my life. I looked at her reddened eyes, suddenly finding it funny. I softly asked, then what about my life? Xu Zee, have you ever considered it? She stiffened. I know you mind Jiang Shibai and the baby's existence very much, but grandmother threatened suicide. How could I get an abortion? Sichuan, I beg you to understand me a little, can you? So you considered grandmother, considered Jiang Shibai, but never considered me, is that right? She opened her mouth, as if wanting to say something, but in the end, she just hugged me tightly. All right, she coaxed in a low voice, her hand gently patting my back, like consoling an irritable child. Let this matter pass. Explained to grandmother. Wait until the baby is born. Everything will return to how it was. I leaned into her embrace, smelling the familiar cedar scent on her body, suddenly feeling extremely tired. It couldn't go back. It could never go back. In the days that followed, Xu Ji seemed to realize something. She began to never leave my side. She clung to me all day. Even when I went to the toilet, she would wait outside the door. Occasionally, from the corner of my eye, I glimpsed Jiang Shibai standing in the corner with red eyes. She would just slightly furrow her brows, pretending not to see. One early morning, she suddenly took out a gold-plated invitation card, her eyes bright like a young girl's. Today is the school's 100-year anniversary. Classmates said they wanted to gather. You've been home for several days. It's a good chance to go out for a walk and meet old friends too. I stared at the gold-plated school emblem on the invitation. Then go. After all, this is probably the last time. On the reunion day, Xu Zie held my hand the entire way. Old classmates noisily said, school flower, school flower. Still such a matching couple. Someone also mentioned how years ago, Xu Ji to buy me a limited edition album, queued all night long. She smiled and hugged me, her fingers gently caressing my waist, like a wordless way of winning me over. The class monitor suddenly carried out a box. How remember our time capsule? Letters written years ago, now returned to their owners. Everyone went up in turn to collect theirs. Just as I was about to open mine, Xu Ji suddenly paused. Her phone rang, displaying Sibai as the caller. She hesitantly looked at me. In the end, she still went to the hallway to answer. A minute later, she returned, her face deathly pale. Sichuan, he fell. HES at the hospital now. I calmly interrupted her. Go. He needs you. She sighed with relief and kissed my forehead. I'll come back quickly. I watched her hurried back as she left. I went to the time capsule, found Xuji's letter. The envelope was marked to 6-year-old self. I hesitated for a moment, but opened it anyway. To 6-year-old Zhu Ziyi, you must have married Sichuan by now, right? I envy you so much. That your current life is what I dream of. So you must treat Sichuan really well. You must cherish him to the bone. Otherwise, I will never forgive you. You must remember to warm milk for him every day. His stomach isn't good. You must take him to Iceland to see the aurora. He's been thinking about it for 7 years. You must remember he hates rainy days the most. Remember he's allergic to coriander. And also, you must remember he's afraid of the dark. So never let him walk alone at night. And at the end of the letter was a small line written for me. Sichuan, if 10 years later, I don't treat you well, then leave me. Never forgive me. I gently stroked those words. Tears finally fell. I softly said to the air, all right, I'll listen to you. After the reunion ended, I directly took a taxi to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Today happened to be the day the divorce agreement took effect. The staff member repeatedly confirmed, Mr. G, have you thought it through? Just as she finished speaking, my heart felt like a hollow was carved out of it, but also strangely felt relieved. Before leaving, I canceled all my identity information, bought a one-way plane ticket after boarding the plane. Outside the airplane window, the sunset was blood red. When Xuge rushed to the hospital, Jiang Shibai was sitting on the hospital bed. Tears glistening, she hurriedly embraced him, consoling him in a low voice. Jiang Shibai's tears fell like broken pearl strings, drop by drop onto Xuge's clothes. Madame Zhu, I was at the mall, wanting to choose a necklace for you, but who knew I would carelessly twist something? Sorry for making you rush around like this. If something happens to the baby in your womb, I am sorry to you, and sorry too. Xuge stroked her slightly protruding belly, wiping his tears for him. The baby is fine. It's very good, don't worry. Jiang Shibai tried to look pitiful. Madame Su, I know. It's only because I am carrying your child that you've stayed with me for so long. Madame Xu, actually, I've always admired you. So when you first noticed me, I risked my life to be your antidote. So when I first saw you on the road, I disregarded my own circumstances to save you. Madame Shu, can you accept me? He asked with meticulous care. Xujia's expression turned cold. She pushed him away with one movement. Sibai, wait until I give birth. After the baby is born, I'll give you enough money. Send you abroad to live. Enough for you to live in luxury without worries for life. Seeing her like this, Jiang Shibai tightly grabbed her hand. None of that matters to me. All I want is you. Xuji exhaled heavily. For some reason, she thought of me. She shook off his hand, walking to the door. You know, in my heart, there's only Sichuan. Sitting on the hospital bed, Jiang Shibei's face turned pale. But grandmother also likes me very much. Grandmother even said, if you give birth to a son, she'll give me official status. Do you really not have any feelings for me at all? This questioning struck Shu Ji's heart violently. She immediately became flustered. Sibai, no matter what grandmother initially promised you, in my heart, there's only Sichuan. You take care of yourself. She hurriedly closed the hospital room door, leaning against it, breathing heavily. For some unknown reason, that heart that beat only for me, when faced with Jiang Sibei's glistening tears, had wavered a bit. Perhaps it was just because of the baby. Shu Ziyi tried to convince herself as she drove toward the company. She let herself sink into work, because this way, she wouldn't have to face that heart, face what came from the past. Meanwhile, Jiang Sibai in the hospital room immediately changed his expression, as if the teary-eyed man from earlier wasn't him at all. Ji Shichuan has clearly been driven away by you Xiu family people. Yet here you are, pretending to be affectionate. He took out his phone, made a call. Is this Madam X's assistant? I am Jiang Chibai. Can you tell me Madam X's recent schedule? I need to find her for something. After hanging up, Jiang Shibai revealed a smile. Xuzga. If I had known early on you would reject me, I wouldn't have wasted time with you at all. He looked out the window, revealing a vicious gaze. At a private auction society, wealthy businessmen from various circles gathered. At this moment, they were enthusiastically discussing the treasures about to be auctioned. Xu Ziyi, accompanied by grandmother Xu, was about to enter a private room. Suddenly, she saw a beautiful figure flash by not far away. That man was clearly physically weak, but hurriedly flashed by, entering a secret private room nearby. Sibai? She hesitantly called out. That person clearly didn't hear. Quickly walked into the private room. Without the usual caution, Su Ji's heart sank. She quietly walked to the door. The man seemed too eager. He didn't even close the door properly, leaving a thin gap. The conversation between a man and woman in the private room happened to reach Xuzia's ears. Chairman Wang, I am yours. Do you really not want me anymore? The familiar male voice fell into Zhu Ji's ears, like a thunderbolt from a clear sky. She couldn't believe her widened eyes. This man was clearly the one she had arranged to recuperate in the hospital. Jiang Sibai, aren't you annoying? Didn't I tell you before that I don't need you anymore? Judging from the voice, this Chairman Wang was probably a man close to 60 years old. I already belong to you. In the future, you must give me a retirement pension. Jiang Shibei's voice was clearly not the gentle tone Su Ji was familiar with, but mixed with vicious malice. He laughed sinisterly, threw something with a loud sound. Otherwise, I might have to make trouble for Mrs. Wang. As soon as Chairman Wang heard this name, his voice immediately lowered. How much money do you want? Jiang Sibai smiled and held up 2 fingers. Hearing this, Chairman Wang hurriedly took several cold breaths. You dare to cheat me, you vicious man. Aren't you already attached to the XU family? Yet you still think of blackmailing me. But I truly belong to you. Initially, Mr. Wang, you were very angry with me at the party. I had no choice, so I drugged Madame XU, dressed similarly to her husband to deceive her. Then I found out she was working abroad, specifically arranged a car accident, risked my life to save her. Only then was she willing to bring me back to the country, feeling guilty toward me. If Xu Ji knew about these things, it would ultimately implicate you. This is the last opportunity. Give me 2 billion. I'll fly far away after this, never to return, and you won't have to worry about future troubles. Jiang Sibei's sinister laughter reached Zhu Jia's ears. Her face was full of disbelief. So that accident was actually his setup. Grandmother Xu behind her heard these words, angered nearly to fainting. Keeping silent, the bodyguard standing beside her directly pushed open the door. As soon as Sibai saw the 2 people standing at the door, he was so frightened, he sat on the floor. Chairman Wang had long since turned pale, sitting on the soft chair trembling. No matter how powerful the Wang family was, they wouldn't dare to directly cause trouble in front of the Xu family. Xu Ziyi helped Grandmother Xu slowly enter the private room. As soon as Grandmother Xu sat down, she couldn't help but speak. What exactly is going on? Grandmother, please drink some tea first. Don't get angry and harm your health. Chairman Wang hurriedly spoke, respectfully offering tea. This really has nothing to do with me. I did have a relationship with him before, but you know our circle. Just as she was about to say the word XU, she hurriedly corrected herself. My circle. It's my circle. At that time, he clung to me, wanting marriage. I gave him a breakup fee of 2 million, who knew he wouldn't let go. Deliberately drugged Miss XU, wanting to hit both our families with 1 arrow. The more Zhu Ji heard, the lower the pressure around her body became. Chairman Wang, please tell the truth. The XU family will not only not touch you, but all future cooperation can be discussed favorably. Chairman Wang's eyes lit up, immediately clearing his throat. This man, I initially met him as a college student at a nightclub. Seeing he looked decent, I cultivated him. Who knew this ingrate would actually want me to marry him? I naturally refused. At a party, I had someone give him a bank card, thinking it would be a clean break from then on. But who knew he would drug Madame XU and deliberately fabricate a car accident to harm Madame Xu? Grandmother XU was so angry she clutched her chest. We have been deceived by such a man to this extent. XUZ quickly called the bodyguards to escort Grandmother XU to the hospital. After the 3 left, she fiercely looked at the still trembling Jiang Sibai. Jiang Sibai hurriedly knelt and embraced her legs. Ziyi, I was wrong. Anyway, Ji Sichuan is gone now. Isn't it good for us 3 to be a family together? Hearing this, Xu Ji suddenly violently grabbed his neck, her eyes no longer able to suppress the surging anger. Who did you say is gone? Jiang Shibai was being fiercely choked by her, until his face turned an ugly blue-purple. Xu Ziyi slightly loosened her grip. Only then did he finally calm down, opening his mouth to gasp. Finally realizing he had no hope, he no longer hid himself, his face full of malice. No wonder Ji Shichuan insisted on divorcing you. You deserve this fate. Xu Ziyi was as if struck by lightning. Her hands suddenly loosened, looking at the man before her in terror. Seeing this, Jiang Shibai struggled free from her hands, revealing a sinister smile. Unexpectedly, Ji Shichuan already left you long ago. You 2 are already divorced. After saying this, the man let out a piercing laugh. Meanwhile, I had finally finished setting up my small shop. I heaved a heavy sigh. It had been nearly half a month since I left. I chose to come to a small town. The air here was fresh. The pace was very slow, perfectly suited to my state of mind. As soon as I arrived here, I promptly rented a storefront. The area wasn't large, but enough for me to run my own coffee shop. When everything was arranged in place, I locked the door and smiled brightly at the glass storefront. How long had it been since I smiled like this? Suddenly, a warmth crept around my ankle. A small orange cat rubbed against my ankle, making a soft mewing sound. I squatted down in delight to look at it, stroking its soft little head. The orange kitten rolled over for me, meowing coquettishly. A clear female voice came through. This kitten really likes you. I hurriedly turned my head to look, only to discover there was someone standing beside me. Sorry, I didn't notice you. I shifted my body, making room for her. Xiang Wanzhou smiled and also squatted down. The orange kitten immediately rubbed against her palm, as if it had long been acquainted with her. Is this your cat? No. Xiang Wanzhou's lips formed a gentle smile that momentarily captivated me. She put down the bag of cat food in her hand, expertly rubbing the kitten's belly. I also only recently discovered it around here. When passing by, I would come to visit it. I smiled with widened eyes. So it's a stray cat. Her voice was also extremely pleasant. Probably, definitely, I said while stroking the kitten. Her long, thick eyelashes cast a faint shadow on her face, seeming somewhat flustered. The soft corner buried deep in my heart was gently touched. Let's go then, I said. I expertly picked up the little cat. The kitten didn't resist at all, its face full of confusion. The woman seemed not to have reacted yet. Where are we going for neutering? I said word by word, placing the kitten on my shoulder, revealing an extremely brilliant smile. Let's go. I've already started looking for a vet address. Xiang Wanzhou stood in place, stunned for half a day, before hurriedly grabbing the bag of dry food and chasing after. I am Xiang Wanzhou. Nice to meet you. Please guide me more. I stopped my footsteps, stretched out my hand. I am Ji Shichuan. Just arrived in this city. Please guide me more. The kitten imitated my posture, placing its small paw pad on our clasped hands, letting out a gentle meow. We faced each other and simultaneously broke into laughter. The past, deeply buried in my mind, seemed to dissipate with the laughter into the night. After that day, the kitten naturally came to live in my coffee shop. Despite being neutered and having to wear a protective collar around its neck, it still ate heartily as usual, so I named it Fan Fan. Also from that day, Xiang Wanzhou seemed to have stuck to me and my small coffee shop. Before opening, she would stand waiting outside the door, only leaving reluctantly at closing time. Thanks to Xiang Wanzhou and Fan Fan, business became increasingly good. I, who had planned to live a leisurely life, was busy every day with my feet barely touching the ground. Shichuan, you haven't found a place to stay yet? I shook my head, sighing. Currently, all the rooms I've viewed don't quite suit me. For now, I can only temporarily stay in the shop. I stretched my back, just that this makeshift bed really isn't comfortable to sleep on. Fan Fan can only curl up to sleep beside me. Xiang Wanzhou heard this and paused. Actually, my house is quite large. If you don't mind, you could come stay at my place. I was about to open my mouth to refuse, but for some reason, the scene of our first meeting appeared in my mind. The next moment, I suddenly changed my words and agreed. Really? Xiang Wanzhou seemed unable to believe it. Her beautiful eyes slightly lit up with a hint of joy. My face reddened. I hurriedly turned away, avoiding her gaze. Xiang Wanzhou smiled. After closing today, let's go. No need to wait anymore. After saying this, she was about to go to the loft to help me pack my things. Seeing her like this, I couldn't help but laugh. Fans, things will also take time to move over. The woman stood on the stair, turned her head and winked. No need to pack anymore. I've prepared everything already. I stood, stunned in place. Why did I feel this person had been planning this for a long time? At night on the street, a black sports car sped along. Sitting in the driver's seat, Shu Ziyi's face fell into darkness. Her heart was full of guilt and regret. Shichuan, she whispered, violently punching the steering wheel. At this moment, the phone beside her suddenly rang. Xuzei stopped the car. Press the answer button. Grandmother.sus voice immediately came through. Gee, how did the meeting with Shichuan go? What did he say? Has he forgiven us? Xuzei's heart sank, but she still consoled grandmother Xu saying, Shichuan, he is so kind and understanding. He will definitely forgive us. Grandmother Esu's crying grew louder. I should never have done it. I even hit that child. He must be resenting me now. Xuzhi's emotions had long been in chaos. She had to tell her grandmother, I'll call you back later. You rest first. After saying this, she directly pressed the end button, shutting out grandmother X's crying. She had quit smoking long ago, because I didn't like the smell of cigarettes. But now, she didn't know how else to relieve the emotions in her heart. Shichuan, you wouldn't. In the swirling cigarette smoke, Shu Ziyi replayed her recent behavior again and again. She couldn't help slapping herself. Xuzei, you were actually deceived by such a man, neglecting the one you love? Most. She put out her cigarette, looking up at the villa before her. It was completely dark inside. Thinking I had already gone to sleep, Suji got out of the car, standing at the door, until the cigarette smell had completely dissipated, still not daring to enter the house. Shichuan, you won't blame me. You will understand me, right? She whispered, but she still couldn't help thinking of the two sentences Jiang Shibai had said. No wonder Ji Shichuan insisted on divorcing you. He had already left you long ago. The panic in Zhuzia's heart grew larger and larger. Shichuan loves me so much. He will definitely forgive me. Her voice grew smaller and smaller, carefully thinking about it. The last time she saw me was over a month ago. Suji's heart ached violently. Shichuan, I will definitely make it up to you properly. But when she pushed open the door, she suddenly froze, because the house was completely empty, with only a thick smell of dust and musty sourness. This told her no one had returned here for a long time. Xuz frantically turned on the lights, but saw that everywhere in the house was already covered with a thin layer of dust. I had always had mild OCD about cleanliness. I would never allow the house to be dirty and messy like this. She seemed possessed, pushing open every door in the house, opening every drawer, from initially looking for a person to looking for objects. But even after turning every corner upside down, she still couldn't find anything related to me. Xuzhi desperately knelt on the ground. Shichuan, do you really not want me anymore? She felt her entire being was drained, until she hopelessly wandered to the bedroom. When opening the bedside drawer, she discovered a brown paper envelope inside. Xuzhi's eyes lit up. Shichuan, you really are still willing to give me a chance. She embraced this last ray of hope as she opened the brown paper. The next moment, tears uncontrollably spilled from her eye sockets. It was the divorce certificate. Xuzhi's hand trembled. She grabbed her phone and dialed my number, but it had already become a disconnected number. She struggled to kneel on the ground, tears silently falling to the floor. A minute later, she finally regained her composure, solemnly calling her assistant. Trace Mr. J's whereabouts for me. Hanging up the phone. Xuzhi, with red eyes, held the divorce certificate. She looked at the somewhat youthful single portrait on it, thinking of all the vows she had once made to me. Sichuan, I am sorry. If it were the XUG of the past, she would certainly hate to kill the woman she had become. Going through all of this was all because of Jiang Sibai. Thinking of that man, a pale, gloomy smile appeared on Zhu Ji's face. Jiang Sibai, I will not let you go. Meanwhile, I witnessed Fan, pouncing on a paint can. I hurriedly picked up the mischievous kitten. You're disturbing the great painter's work. Fan defiantly meowed once. Man and cat began to argue this way. Xiang Wanzhou paused her brush to watch us. Between her brows was tenderness. I put the cat outside the painting room door and sighed, hurriedly squatting down, arranging the paint tubes disrupted by the little cat. Xiang Wanzhou squatted in front of me, also arranging. Our hands fell on the same paint tube. I immediately blushed and moved my hand. Unexpectedly, it was directly held by that hand. Wanzhou. I began to stutter, exerting force wanting to pull my hand from hers, who knew she would suddenly use strength. Her slender fingers forcibly wedged into the gaps between my fingers, interlacing our 10 fingers. Together, I trembled, looking fearfully at the woman before me, but was suddenly pulled into her embrace by Xiang Wanzhou. The paint tubes just arranged fell all over the floor. She nestled into the hollow of my neck, softly speaking. Her warm breath immediately made my skin sensitive. Heart pressed to heart. Both could feel each other's burning heartbeats. Wanzhou, what are you doing? Sichuan, my feelings for you, aren't they clear to you yet? Xiang Wanzhou gently nuzzled the hollow of my neck, like a kitten leaving her scent. Just as I was about to open my mouth to say something, she suddenly increased her strength, embracing me tighter. Don't speak. You're divorced. You've said it many times since moving in. Are you saying that because you want me to let go? But you know, clearly, I can't do that. Because you're also moved by me, aren't you? Aren't you? I bit my lip, stuttering for a long time, before continuing. Feelings aren't a game. I've been hurt before and understand this principle. I also don't want you to be hurt because of me. I won't be. Xiang Wanzhou's tone was extremely serious. I know you won't hurt me. Sichuan, can you really not accept me? She suddenly released me. Those sincere eyes fell directly into mine. Someone says they'll adopt a stray cat. When the stray cat really comes to the door, you no longer want to take it in. For a moment, I seemed to truly see between your hair, 2 pointed ears exploring, now drooping in disappointment. Xiang Wanzhou's voice was full of grievance. Someone forcefully barges in, but without a word wants to leave. I am sure, by tomorrow, you'll say you must move out. Even if I come to the coffee shop looking for you, you'll ignore me. Seeing me will be like seeing a bundle of air. Her voice lowered. She said this, and was about to push away. You'll just think I am joking. In the future, well, still be. I opened my mouth to interrupt. Why wouldn't I accept you? Xiang Wanzhou was stunned, but saw me smile, tightly holding her hand. Like comforting a small cat, I gently stroked her back. You've already come to my door. Xiang Wanzhou stared at me, suddenly fiercely kissing my lips. Amid the entanglement, she made passionate sobbing sounds. Then will you abandon the kitten? Take back that house? I held her neck firmly. I want. Before the words could fall, Xiang Wanzhou kissed me again. At the same time, at the XU residence, Jiang Shibai was kneeling on the ground. His cheeks were flushed red. The 2 bodyguards, one after another, slapped his face until it was swollen. But grandmother XU still wasn't satisfied. How dare you deceive us? XU Ziyi from the XU family walked into the room with heavy steps. As soon as grandmother XU saw her, she hurriedly stood up and went forward. Where is Sichuan? Has Sichuan forgiven us? Only to see XU Ziyi's gloomy face. She shook her head. What should we do? Sichuan definitely resents me now. Xu Ziyi coldly looked at Jiang Shibai kneeling on the ground, crying, thinking of her assistant's recent phone call. Madam Xu, we can't find any trace of Mr. Ji. He has completely canceled his identity. Immediately, her eyes were filled with anger mixed with hatred. Drag him away and send him abroad. The next day, Xu Ji went to the hospital to abort the baby. Since realizing I had completely left her, Su Ji's heart was like having a piece violently carved out. Only the strength to beat remained. What she could do now was only to try her best to find me. Beg for forgiveness. The assistant on the side brought a USB. Ma'am, I've investigated everything clearly. The videos are all here. XU. Ji's finger trembled, taking the USB and plugging it into her computer. Her heart already had a premonition. Carefully recalling, I was fundamentally not a person who would hurt others. Thinking carefully, I was never someone who could be heartless enough to harm anyone. Only this way was a punishment for her. Xu Ji endured the surging feelings of regret and anger, watching everything. So while Jiang Shibai was in her arms, listening to her stories, her lover was downstairs with a high fever, struggling, knocking over a glass, bleeding profusely. So, when she was at the horse ranch only caring for Jiang Shibai, her Sichuan was watching from the side, when she left to take a phone call. I had been caught between 2 panicking horses colliding, falling on the sand. She didn't even give me a glance, just hugged Jiang Shibai, disregarding the person she once cherished in her heart. So the soup originally had no problem. It was Jiang Shibai himself who drugged it, intending to frame me, and she directly believed Jiang Shibai's words. For groundless punishment, she threw me in a snowstorm, buried me under an avalanche. Xu Zi painfully covered her head, What have I done? Sichuan, how could I have done such things to you? The woman whispered, tears falling on the back of her hand. Seeing this, grandmother Xu put something in her hand. Will Sichuan really not come back? The cold sensation brought her back to her senses. She looked down. It was the jade bracelet that grandmother had broken before. Someone had picked up the pieces one by one, inlaid them with gold thread, restoring it to its original appearance. I've had people listening everywhere. Sichuan seems to be living in Yushi City. For him to return, it was grandmother who did wrong. Grandmother will personally apologize to him. Xu Ji looked at her once. Dignified and pampered grandmother Xu, as if suddenly aged a lot. She clutched the cold jade bracelet in her palm. Grandmother, I understand. I will bring Sichuan back. Meanwhile, Xiang Wanzhou pushed a shopping cart with me in the supermarket. Sichuan, what do you want to eat tonight? I smiled and mentioned a few dishes. Xiang Wanzhou agreed to each one, her smile reaching the corners of her eyes. The two of us walked out of the supermarket entrance. When fully loaded with groceries, I shook our held hands. I want to go to the shop first, to arrange some coffee beans for tomorrow. Great painter. Do you want to come along? Xiang Wanzhou kissed my forehead. That sweet image of two people together completely fell into someone else's eyes. Xuzi suddenly stepped forward, using great force to pull me into her arms, her eyes full of possession. Sichuan, how could you let another woman touch you? How could you do this to me? Shu Zi's eyes were bright red. Her heart was flipped painfully. Do you know, when I saw you kiss her, she crazily held me tight in her arms. No matter how I struggled, I couldn't break free. Xiang Wanzhou immediately stepped forward, fiercely slapping Xu Zi across the face. Let him go! Shu Ji was in pain, only then reluctantly releasing me. I hurriedly struggled free, returning to Xiang Wanzhou's side. Xiang Wanzhou anxiously and painfully protected me behind her, holding my hand tightly. Xu Zi wiped the blood from her lip, her eyes full of bloodshot. I hurriedly covered my ears, not wanting to hear anything she said. Xu Zi saw my resistant appearance, as if pierced by 10,000 swords through the heart. I beg you, don't be like this. You're practically telling me to die. She let go of all her precious dignity, lowering her voice to plead with me. Sichuan, look at me please. I beg you. But I just closed my eyes, not saying a word. Seeing me like this, Xiang Wanzhou hurriedly shielded in front of me. Suji, leave him alone. Haven't you heard him enough? By what right do you come looking for him? Xuzi didn't look at her, just kept looking at me behind her, her eyes full of pain. Seeing this, Xiang Wanzhou said no more, directly waved down a taxi and pulled me into it. She consoled me by kissing the corner of my eye, her voice gentle, softly comforting. Then, the taxi drove away. Su Ji stood in place, her gaze fixated on the direction the car left, pain piercing through her heart. So when I originally saw her hugging Jiang Shibai and leaving, it was this painful. If only she had known. She would never have let Jiang Shibai take a single step into the Xu household. When I opened my eyes again, I was already lying on a soft bed. Xiang Wanzhou's face was full of worry. Seeing me awake, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. I rubbed my eyes. Just as I opened my mouth to call her name, the rim of a cup had already touched my lips. Don't think about those things. Nodding, I took the cup. Fan hurriedly rubbed against my palm, urgently meowing. Xiang Wanzhou tapped its little head. It's been waiting for you to wake up. Then she looked at me tenderly. I made the vegetable porridge you like most. Promise me to rest well. Don't think too much. All right? I looked at her gentle eyes. My heart pounded in my chest. I've already contacted the suppliers for the shop. They'll arrange everything. Drink your porridge and rest well. After saying this, she smiled and kissed my forehead, turning to go downstairs, not noticing that after she left, my face immediately turned red. The next day, Xuzi stood at the coffee shop door, full of grievance. Sichuan, look at me. I just stubbornly opened the shop, completely treating her as heir. Xuzi didn't give up and followed me into the shop. Sichuan, listen to me, until she saw me skillfully operating the cup washing machine. She was stunned for a moment. Something she had overlooked in her memory suddenly appeared. Back then, I was wrapped in a blanket, sitting with her under the starry sky. I want to live a light and free life in the future. Sichuan, no matter what kind of life you want to live, I will always be by your side. The young girl's voice remained immature. That was during our junior high school days. But I just smiled. You wouldn't understand. The woman became worried. Why wouldn't I understand? I hesitated a moment before saying, Z, you will definitely become the heir to the XU Corporation in the future. You must bear the entire family's responsibilities and business pressures. You will be forced to bear pressure, and a gentle husband who gives birth to many children, raising them to become qualified inheritors for the next generation. But I don't want to live such a life. I want to open a small coffee shop and spend time with a romantic person, freely. The woman hurriedly held my hand. Sichuan, it won't be like that. I just need to marry you. I just smiled, but didn't look at her. Then I gradually fell in love with her too, because she changed her way of living for me, becoming the gentle and magnanimous Mr. G. The woman also forgot my wish, and that starry night, Xuji suddenly started crying. Her tears fell on the back of my hand. I moved slightly, only then speaking. Xuzage, we're already divorced. We have no relationship anymore. Sichuan, I am sorry. I know everything now. The groundless false accusations and slander against you. I know it all now. Then Zhu Ji hurriedly explained everything. Grandmother and I have punished him. He will never have anything to do with us again. She said this as she took out the jade bracelet. Grandmother asked me to give this to you. She told me to definitely bring you back. You are the true master of the XU family. I frowned and hurriedly pulled away my hand from Shu Jiji. Feelings are just like this jade bracelet. Once broken, they're broken. No matter how you try to patch it up, the traces of hurt will never disappear. After saying this, I coldly laughed. Madam Shu, please leave my shop now. My place doesn't have room for someone as noble as you. The jade bracelet fell into her palm, like a 1,000-pound weight dropping, making Xu unable to breathe. Her face revealed a sorrowful expression. If past mistakes cannot be remedied, then I will pursue you again. Let's not talk about the past anymore. Just focus on the future. All right? I laughed in extreme anger. Shu Ziyi, will you stop being so unreasonable? But no matter what I said, Xu wouldn't budge, truly began pursuing me again. The next day, as soon as I opened the shop, she came holding roses still wet with dew, forcefully entering the shop. Xu, my shop doesn't need these things, but she just stubbornly placed them on the coffee counter. Sichuan, I want to eat the pudding you make yourself. She said this as she took out a black card, ill by 5. I leaned against the wall, displaying an expression of smiling lips but unsmiling flesh, not for sale. On the third day, Xu didn't bring roses, but directly brought a group of people, carrying various boxes into the shop. I hurriedly blocked the door. What are you all trying to do? Xu quickly stepped forward. I just want to give you a set of more high-end coffee machines. My face was full of coldness. No need. Quickly take your people away. And so it went on and on. Xu appeared at my shop every day at the same time, watching me open the shop, waiting for me to close the shop, silently staying nearby. I finally couldn't bear it anymore. After all the customers had left, I pulled her into the shop with one movement. Suji, aren't you being childish? Still playing these little tricks. Xu saw my angry appearance. She didn't argue back, just revealed a faint smile at the corner of her lips. Seeing her like this, I became angrier. We're already divorced. Stop clinging to me. If you continue like this, I won't even be able to keep this shop open. Xu just stood there, lowering her head like a scolded student. Sichuan, I won't pursue anyone else. I will only be like this. In the beginning, I also pursued you like this. I was stunned. Shuji indeed would never pursue others. She would only clumsily display her possessiveness, using her identity as Miss XU to prevent others from approaching me. I was originally attracted to such clumsy love, thinking she would forever only treat me like this. But who knew she would also hurt me this way? I coldly laughed. You don't need to be like this. I've already said it very clearly. There's no possibility for us anymore. I continued speaking. Wanzhou and I are about to get married. Please, from now on, don't come disturb us. Suji Yi felt as if she had fallen into an ice pit. All her internal organs seemed to freeze. You two are getting married? She stepped forward, grabbing my wrist, with such great force, as if wanting me to endure the pain. Gritting my teeth, I said, yes, we are about to get married. Don't come disturb our lives anymore. No. No. She hugged me tightly to her chest, forcefully kissing me. No matter how I struggled and bit, she absolutely wouldn't let go. I suddenly pushed her away. Xug, are you crazy? Yes, I am crazy. From the moment I lost you, I've been crazy. Her scent surrounded me, seemingly wanting to penetrate my internal organs. Suji bit my neck, looking at my clothes about to loosen, her eyes rolling with infinite desire. In the past, it was all my fault. Sichuan, give me one chance. I won't do it again. I will only be devoted to you, Ishu Ziyi. My eyes were full of tears. I struggled desperately, but the more I struggled, the more force Xu I used. The next moment, a slap suddenly landed on Zhu Ziyi. She somewhat loosened her grip, but didn't completely let me go. Shang Wanzhou grasped Xuzia's wrist, suddenly using force, directly dislocating her wrist. Xiang Wanzhou's face darkened. She protected me behind herself. Sichuan, are you okay? I don't look. Don't turn around. Go home quickly. Leave everything else to me, all right? After saying this, she put the car keys in my hand. I nodded, running out. Xiang Wanzhou saw me start the car. Only then did she relax, turning to look at Xu Ziyi, her eyes full of anger. Don't cling to him anymore. Constantly clinging only causes harm. Do you know? He still frequently has nightmares, dreaming of having his ribs trampled by wild horses, dreaming of being abandoned by you on a snow mountain, about to be buried by an avalanche. What face do you have to still stand before him? Shuzi immediately froze in place, her mouth continuously whispering apologies. Seeing this, Xiang Wanzhou angrily delivered another slap. If you truly feel Zhu Ji didn't avoid it, rigidly, accepting the slap, standing there in a daze, her mouth still muttering apologies. Seeing this, Xiang Wanzhou said no more, directly turned and left. As soon as grandmother Xu heard Xu Ji was about to return, she had already sat on the sofa waiting, hurriedly looking behind her. Empty. No one else. Grandmother, He's not coming back anymore. After saying this, she stretched out her hand. In her palm was still that jade bracelet, repaired with gold thread. Grandmother, return this to you. Grandmother Xu was stunned for a moment. The next moment, She immediately beat her chest and stamped her feet. It's all because of that hateful man Jiang Sibai. My son-in-law has been driven away like this. Xuge remained silent, just listening to grandmother Xu's scolding. That man actually made me realize something, grandmother Xu said, hurriedly pulling her, leaning to Zhu Ji's ear to whisper, look, could we drug Sichuan a bit? As soon as Yu Yi heard this, she hurriedly shook her head. We can't do that. Sichuan originally didn't want to have children with me. Before she could finish speaking, grandmother Xu became angry. Then what other way is there? For you to find another man to marry? Are you willing? We could just lock him up at home. Grandmother will take good care of him. Sichuan is originally a soft-hearted child. Well, serve him humbly with low voices and with binding. Do you think he would still leave you? Xu didn't speak this time. Seeing her like this, grandmother Xu immediately said, you love him so much. Are you content with him being alone outside, rather than letting him be with another woman? Why not make him have a baby with you? Well, compensate him well afterward. Men say they don't want children, but once they have them, they become attached. You'll still be the mother of the child. Do you think he could? Zhu Ji lowered her voice, her eyes darkening. All right then. As soon as grandmother Xu heard this, she immediately patted her chest, guaranteeing she would take care of everything. At that time, you just need to meet Sichuan. That's it. Though these words were said for several consecutive days, Xu couldn't make up her mind until grandmother Xu personally put a drug and a piece of paper into her hand. On this is where I sent people to find Sichuan's address. Grandmother put in no small effort. Zhu Ziyi was stunned, opening the paper. On it was written, Yushi City. Sure enough, Sichuan had moved to another city to live. Am I really that disgusting that he would rather transfer his shop and change cities than be willing to see me again? That Xiang Wanzhou. Is she really that good? She clutched the drug vial in her palm. Grandmother, I am going to find Sichuan now. Grandmother X's eyebrows raised in delight. That's right. He must still have you in his heart after so many years of feelings. Can he really say he doesn't need them anymore? She said this while pushing Zhu Ji out the door. Grandmother has arranged a private plane to Yushi City. Go find him now. Even when sitting on the plane, Zhu Ji's heart was still hesitating, but soon she closed her eyes, casually placing the drug vial in her suit pocket, leaning back in the leather seat, her entire body trembling. Xu Ji whispered softly. This time will be considered the final farewell. After the plane landed safely, she hesitated for a long time, finally calling the number on the paper. The speakerphone transmitted a male voice, still as gentle and clear as before, making her heart tremble again and again. Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? Suji is. Hand holding the phone clenched tightly. Only then did she finally say to me on the other side of the screen, Sichuan, I've come to Yushi City. Please give me one last chance. See me in 1 hour. I sat in an exquisite Michelin restaurant, looking at the French cuisine I once loved most on the table. Now I had no appetite. Suji carefully looked at me, saying in a low voice, Sichuan, don't you like it? Would you like to change restaurants? I looked toward Zhu Ji with an expressionless face. No need. If you have something to say, say it, then afterward, well, make a clean break. Su Ji's heart was pierced painfully by these 4 words. She immediately reddened her eyes. Sichuan, over 20 years of feelings. Do you really not want them anymore? Xu, what good is there left between us to discuss? I've already given up my position for your family of 3. Su Ji's face was full of regret. Sichuan, don't say that. That was fundamentally not my baby. I said before, I would only accept a baby born with you. She urgently looked at me, trying to find any remaining love on my face, but I just coldly looked back. She's issued an ultimatum. Speak quickly. I have things to do. Seeing me like this, Zhu Ziyi was already in too much pain to speak. What do you need to go do? She gritted her teeth, barely managing to say this sentence. My face was full of impatience. What does it have to do with you? If it's just this kind of meaningless talk, then there's no need to say more. After saying this, I directly stood up, pushing back the chair to leave. Xu Ziyi directly blocked me, desperately saying, Sichuan, I beg you to tell me, let me know. What is ultimately more important than me? I expressionlessly said, everything is more important than you, but if you must know, I can tell you. I'm going to try on a suit. Xu Ziyi immediately widened her eyes, unwillingly asking again, what did you just say? Sichuan, don't lie to me. If you say these things to me, you might as well let me go. Xu Ziyi's hand unconsciously grabbed mine, trying to find a trace, but I frowned. Xu Ziyi, let me go. You said you wanted to say goodbye, so I came to see you. I didn't think you'd just casually find an excuse. I should have known better than to believe you again. How many times have you lied to me now, since Jiang Shibei's first appearance? You've been constantly deceiving me. Let me go, and let yourself go too. There's no possibility between us anymore. Can't we just say a dignified goodbye like this? Isn't that good? However, the last thread in Xu Zi's mind had already snapped. She simply couldn't imagine a life without me. Without you, I simply cannot live. She struggled, pleading, I beg you to return to me, please. I push her hand away. Zhu Ji, have you ever thought when I originally married you, I was already compromising myself. I originally just wanted to live a free, light life. For you, I gave up everything, wore a mask, became that gentle, attentive Mr. G. Yet you not only didn't understand me, but did one bad thing after another with another man, disregarding and ignoring, expecting me to endure all of this, even repeatedly saying you had difficulties. What difficulties do you have? As if feeling thirsty. I picked up the glass of water on the table, still intact, and drank it all in one go. Sichuan, don't drink. Xu watched helplessly as I drank all the water, her hand suspended in mid-air for a long time without moving. Is there something wrong with this water? Quick, Sichuan, get in the car, it'll take you to the hospital. She couldn't care about anything else, speaking as she tried to embrace me and rush out of the restaurant. What are you doing? I struggled to push her away, but only felt a nameless heat suddenly rising in my body. Su Ji hurriedly took off her suit jacket, sheltering me, stuffing me into the car. What's happening? I lay on the back seat of the sealed car, full of cedar scent. Now it seemed to have turned into an extremely potent aphrodisiac. Xu Zai's heart was full of regret. She had arrived early and was possessed to add the drug to the water. At this moment, Grandmother Xu's words seemed to ring in her ears again. I seemed to have lost my senses. It was a tight grip on her small arm. My other hand had already climbed up her sleeve. Sichuan, do you know who I am? My eyes darkened, looking at my overheated body, disheveled clothes, no longer able to suppress the desire within me. Do you know? When I see you with another woman, my heart hurts so much. She gently kissed my earlobe, her fingers interlacing through mine, firmly pressing me down. Does she kiss you here? Does she know your ears are very sensitive, like a punishment? Her tongue teased my earlobe, making the air between us even hotter. She bit my lips. Between lips and teeth, broken moans escaped uncontrollably. Who am I? Xuz kissed my lips, then coaxingly asked in a low voice. Unexpectedly, having lost my reason, I suddenly pushed her away. You're not Wanzhou. Who are you actually? Xuz immediately released me, her eyes still retaining a few traces of clarity. Sichuan, do you really not recognize me? I am Zhu Ji, whom you love the most. I just covered my eyes, clearly not yet recovered, but muttering, Su Ji doesn't know Wanzhou. Where is my Wanzhou? Xu stood there stunned. She finally experienced the feeling of a dead heart, if before she could still deceive herself, telling herself I was just temporarily angry, that I couldn't possibly not love her and love someone else. However, the situation before her now clearly told her she was no longer important in my heart. Shu Zia's hand reached out, but only to wrap me tightly with her suit jacket. I've hurt you so much before. Now she smiled bitterly, sitting back in the driver's seat, looking through the rearview mirror at the man she loved most deeply. She knew this time was truly goodbye. Sichuan, as long as you can be happy. It doesn't matter if the person beside you isn't me. The car started up, quickly driving toward the hospital. For some reason, she suddenly remembered saying a sentence years ago. Sichuan, if 10 years later, I don't treat you well, then leave me. Never forgive me. Shu Zi, at that age, stroke by stroke, solemnly wrote those words in a letter to herself. Back then, if she had known that at 26, Xu would, for an outsider, torture me to this extent, even drug me, attempting to take over my life, then she would definitely kill her present self. The woman's eye sockets were full of tears. Sichuan, promise me, never forgive me. Su Ji, in the confusion of the drug, still tried to hold me tight, step by step taking me into emergency care. Then she called Jiang Wanzhou. Seeing Shang Wanzhou's figure frantically running over, she finally left. At the moment of departure, she reluctantly looked at me once more. Ji Sichuan, if I betray you in this lifetime, let me never find happiness in all future lives. I will silently guard by your side, life after life, only begging that you might look at me once more. Just once would be enough. 3 years later, at the seaside, I stood on the mountaintop, my temples already soaked with sweat. Wanzhou, I really like the sea here. Xiang Wanzhou smiled at me, taking the mountain bike I was holding. I embraced her, pointing to the painting in the sketchbook saying, Wanzhou, let's go to Greece. The sea you painted seems a bit lonely. You said you hate loneliness the most. So I thought about going there with you again. My eyes sparkled. Xiang Wanzhou looked at her own painting, couldn't help but kiss my forehead, then agreed. If I have you, this sea will definitely regain its original vitality. That's exactly how it was. I spread my arms, welcoming the sunlight. The sea below the cliff seemed to stop its original solitude, turning into sparkling waves. She was already on my shoulder, her eyes full of expectation. Wanzhou, in the future, we'll continue to see the sea together. See all the seas in this world. She didn't take this statement as a joke at all, but solemnly promised. Then I'll paint all the seas. Along with you, me, and Fan. She gently kissed the corner of my mouth, like engraving a mark that would never fade, promising to view all oceans with me forever.